Welcome to Moving with CHD, the podcast and vlog where I talk to fellow CHDers about being active with a congenital heart defect. I'm Hayley and was born with atrial ventricular septal defect and had 2 open heart surgeries by the age of 1. Growing up, I loved being active, but wanted to better understand the benefits and challenges of exercising with this condition. I'm therefore so excited to hear from others who have found their love for movement within their heart limits. Together we'll share these incredible stories and the realities of moving with CHD. However active you're able to be, I hope you find some inspiration, encouragement, and the movement you love. This week, I'm getting a different perspective by talking to Nick, a heart dad who until 2 years ago had only heard of CHD. Hi Nick, and thank you for joining us today and on the podcast Moving with CHD. Great to have you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Amazing. Well, I'm really excited to have our conversation today because actually we're sort of coming from a little bit of a different perspective. So we've had, having quite a lot of stories from people who have CHD, but I know sort of from where you're coming from, it's a little bit different. So we'll get into that in a bit. Before we do though, I'd like to start with a quick fire round, if that's all right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. So first thing that comes to your mind, first question, what's your favorite Disney character?
Probably Stitch, just because he's goofy and different from what they normally do. So
yeah, amazing. And do you have a spirit animal?
That's a tough one. I don't know if I do. Maybe like the family dog, just because I try to be loyal to my family. So
yeah, great. If you could eat any food right now, what would it be?
Any food. A good steak.
Good steak. Love a steak.
Yeah.
And name one thing on your bucket list.
Travel outside of the US.
Amazing. Hopefully 2021.
Yeah. Kind of hard right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. So, I mean, let's deep dive into our conversation. I guess start with, what's your relationship with CHD?
So my relationship is our daughter was born with CHD. Obviously I knew of heart defects before that, but got thrown into it full force when she was born. So.
Yeah. And are you able to tell me what her diagnosis was?
Yeah. So we did not know until she was born. When she was born, they noticed that her color wasn't changing, like she wasn't getting enough oxygen. So they immediately, started trying to work on her, got her into the NICU, and then, an agonizing wait for us. They finally diagnosed her with transposition of the great arteries and a VSD as well. But we were lucky in that they caught it right away, because a lot of times with that particular defect, they don't necessarily catch it because they don't notice anything wrong right away, especially with the VSD where there is some mixing of the blood. They don't always catch it right away. So we were lucky in that they caught it right away. They got us to the children's hospital, and there she is.
And there she is.
Yeah. And they got us to the children's hospital where we needed to be, and she had surgery at 1 week old to do her arterial switch. And then if you saw her today, if you didn't see the scar, you would have no idea. She's doing awesome. So
that's amazing. And what was your initial reaction or thought when you found out she had a heart defect?
I mean, it's scary, obviously, because you don't know, if you've never heard of it before, you don't know, what the future is, what's the next step from here, what's her prognosis, what's her future like, especially, but the doctors did a very good job of, once we do the surgery, she should be able to lead a full life. And with her particular defect, it was just one surgery is hopefully all she'll need. So
amazing.
It's very scary at first, especially if you're not prepared for it like we were. We had no idea until she was born. So
yeah, I can't even imagine. I mean, obviously a lot of the time for the CHD patient, if the surgery was birth or within the first couple of years, actually, I think the biggest stress is probably on the parents.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I certainly can't remember my surgeries. I was less than one.
Yeah.
So I guess, as a parent, what sort of answers did you want to know from medical professionals at that point, or even sort of now going forward?
Yeah, at the time it was mostly just, what's our next step, and what do we need to do, and what do we need to do for her. We were lucky in that with the VSD, they could prolong surgery a little bit, because she was getting some of the mixing of the blood. So they were able to wait a week to do surgery to let her get a little bit bigger. And then, it's mostly just, okay, now after surgery, it was, okay, what do we need to do to take care of her? What do we need to watch out for if there's any issues, and just, maintaining her appointments with her cardiologist and things like that. So
yeah,
I think that's the biggest thing as a parent, is just, what do I need to do to take care of her? So
yeah. And you were able to sort of get, most of those answers that you needed.
Yeah, the hospital is amazing. Children's Healthcare of Atlanta is one of the best. And then Eggleston Children's Hospital and Sibley Heart Center we were where we needed to be. They were one of the best, and they take good care of you. They always check in, while we were the week before surgery, while we were in the hospital, we were there every day. And they always had people that would check in with us. Doctors were available for any questions. Nurses did an amazing job of just helping us along, and guiding us. So I think that's the biggest thing, is just having a team around you that, helps you in what you need.
Yeah, absolutely. And going forward, will she still need sort of regular checkups?
Yeah, she'll have a cardiologist for life. So right now, because she's doing so well, there, we only need to go once a year right now. And as long as she stays like that, then she'll always have those checkups. But outside of that, she should be able to lead a normal life. So
brilliant. Oh, that's so great to hear. I guess a little bit about sort of why I reached out to you all those weeks back, Nick, as well, was because I followed you on Instagram and saw your love for running. So I'm keen to also find out, as with the theme of the podcast, as she sort of grows up, how as a family you're hoping to sort of prioritize heart health and also encourage her as well to do that.
Yeah. So, both my wife and I are, into fitness, obviously me with the running. So I think just the biggest thing is making sure she knows, this is available to you. And with her particular defect, there's not really any restrictions. So just making sure she knows what kind of fitness is out there. You can run, you can play sports, you can do whatever you want. And just monitoring her and making sure that she is healthy while she's doing it. So.
Yeah, I guess a lot of that as well comes through school as well. Taking a lot of, you get a lot of exercise when you have sports and things like that as well, which is obviously a great outlet too.
Yeah.
And so I guess, what's your approach to fitness, and how did you get started?
Yeah, my journey started about 6 years ago. I had been diagnosed as a diabetic and was just kind of trying to get healthier in life. And I thought, just on a whim, why don't I take up running? So I started with the Couch to 5K program. Did that, ran my first 5K, and just kind of fell in love with it after that. I've since run almost 50 half marathons and 5 marathons. So I became a little addicted.
Amazing. Amazing. And do you have any particular sort of goals with your running? Obviously, you've run lots of half marathons, which is incredible, but is there anything looking forward?
I think I want to try and run one of the major marathons at some point. So like Boston or New York. I think that would be a big goal. Obviously, Boston's a little harder to get into, but New York, you just kind of just have to pay and then hope to win the lottery that they do the draw. But Boston, you actually have to run a qualifying time. So that would be the kind of the running bucket list item, would be to run one of those.
Amazing. And I guess since you started those sort of 6 years ago and obviously have really got into it, is there anything you've sort of learned about yourself or something that you would share with your daughter as she grows up?
Just that you can do anything you put your mind to. I mean, when I started, a marathon wasn't even on my radar. Like, I never thought that would be something that I would do. And then even really a half marathon, I didn't think was really in the cards. And then, as you start growing with it and learning, hey, I can really do whatever I want to, whatever I put my mind to is possible. So I think just instilling that mindset that there's no limits to what you can achieve if you just put your mind to it.
Yeah. And is there anything as a parent that you would want to ask adults who have a congenital heart defect?
I think just, what advice, like if you could go back to your childhood self and give them a piece of advice, what would it be?
Yeah.
Yeah. How to live with it and how to keep yourself healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, great. I mean, that's definitely something we can reach out and ask some fellow CHDers as well as we start this podcast and see what their thoughts are as well. It's so great to see your daughter running in the background and see how, happy and healthy she is. It's so great.
Yeah, she wants to say hi too.
She'd be welcome. Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Nick. It's been great to speak to you, and I think having a different perspective on here will certainly be something a lot of parents or prospective parents would be really keen to listen in. So thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you've not already, please help us get the word out to fellow CHDers by sharing with your network, subscribing to the Moving with CHD YouTube channel or podcast series on your favourite streaming platform. You can also stay up to date on all the latest episodes on my Instagram @Hayley.heartfitness.